What's going on, guys? It's the Postman. I'm going to show you guys my Oklahoma City Friends of the Library book sale haul from this past Sunday. Wasn't able to go Saturday because I was working, obviously, but went Sunday. Went last year, and I got, I think it was 17 signed books. I went this year and scored 23. But actually, possibly the best find of the day was not even a signed book. If you guys have not seen my other two videos, they're about 20 seconds long, something like that. I did one video where I did it as I was going into the hall there to enter the book sale, and then I did another quick little video of my first book that I found that was signed. So if you haven't seen those yet, go check them out. They're pretty cool. Like I said, they're like 20-30 seconds long. But stay tuned. This video is going to be pretty long. A lot of information to go over, a lot of stuff to show you guys. I hope you watch it all. Got some really nice stuff. As I said, they hold this book sale once a year, and it's one of the largest, probably one of the top 5, if not the largest, library book sale, because they don't hold it at the library. They actually hold it in, I think, 2 expo halls at the fairgrounds. Just mass quantities of books. Like I said, I didn't go Saturday. I wanted to go Saturday because, you know, that's the best time because it's all fresh stuff. No one's picked it over, but I mean, like I said, I still found 23 signed books, and there's some really, really nice ones in here that I found. So, and I live almost 2 hours away from Oklahoma City, so I mean, it's a major deal to go there. But you know, it's a major sale. So hardcovers are $1, paperbacks are 50 cents. I paid $32 for most of what's in here. I also got my daughter Ayla 3 highlights magazines that was included. So, and a storybook that is not in here. So I would say like $29 or something like that is what's mine. So anyway, I'm going to quit rambling. I'm going to get to the good stuff. So I'm going to start off with this. I'm going to kind of go with the lesser signed books and work my way up, or I may just start grabbing off the top here. We'll see. But you may be saying, what? Newt Gingrich, he's actually a pretty decent signed book. Well, yeah, but this is my second copy. So Newt Gingrich, Winning the Future, signed very boldly in blue, to Holly, your friend, Newt Gingrich. Here's my other signed copy here. This one's made out to Jeanette. This is the one I got from a thrift store or something. I can't remember where. There's that one, and there's that one. So 2 signed Newt Gingrich books. So one of those is up for trade or sale if anybody is interested. Then we got Patrick Fletcher, 16 Red, Living the Dream. Former Oklahoma Sooners quarterback. They signed right there to Andrew. Go Sooners, beat the Jayhawks. Patrick Fletcher, number 16. He ended up not getting into the NFL. I'm not sure what the story was with that. He kind of just vanished off the face of the earth, actually. I couldn't find any information on him on the internet. So, any OU fans interested in that, that's for sale or trade. And I got this book, The Ninja and Their Secret Fighting Art. This is written by Stephen K. Hayes. One of the few American ninjas. That's him right there. Really just a neat book. Always been interested in ninjutsu and the art of ninja. So it's kind of a neat book to get. So I've got that. And I got this book here. It's A Strange Ritual. Pictures and Words by David Byrne. This is a really neat book. Just all photographs and a couple of pages of text. It's really a nice book. Obviously, I'm a fan of art and photography and stuff like that. And just the book's kind of cool, so I thought I'd pick it up. Okay, I'm just kind of going with whatever's on top. This is Pull Yourself Up by Your Bra Straps, Other Cracker Wisdom by Jeannie or Jan Weiss. It is signed on a book plate right there. Very cool. She died in 2011, born in 1939. She was an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and television personality. Bice was the founder of the Quacker Factory clothing line, which led to frequent appearances on QVC beginning in 1995. Her company, Quacker Factory, has grossed more than $50 million in sales as of March 2011. She was also a frequent guest on The Soup, appearing opposite host Joe McHale. So, pretty cool. Nice little signed book there. So happy to add that to the collection. Then we got this book here. This is Fong Zia, a hilarious look at the joys and pitfalls of life in Hong Kong, by the creator of Learn Cantonese the Hard Way. So this is pretty cool. It's got different words that you can say, and every page is also a comic strip. So I thought that was kind of cool. This book was published in 1986, actually 87. It's a second printing, September 1987. Looking this book up on eBay, there's only a couple copies, and it's actually worth some money. People are trying to get $30, $40, $50 for their copies. So, pretty cool little book. I love the comic strip art in it. So happy to have that. Then I got this book here. This is Magic in Theory and Practice by Aleister Crowley. That's the former owner's name there. There's no date on this book, but I believe it's published in the 90s. It's a reprinting. This volume was originally printed in Paris in limited edition and has long been out of print. Here is a complete reproduction of this long sought-after classic. It's a very interesting book, not particularly valuable, but written by the great Aleister Crowley. Subject to the song Mr. Crowley by Ozzy Osbourne. So kind of neat to find that. Another signed book. This is Mike Leonard. Mike Leonard is a retired American television journalist who formerly worked for the Today Show on NBC. Leonard has been a feature correspondent for the Today Show for 31 years and is known for his stories on everyday life and the unique creative way he presents his work. Also, in 1989, Leonard had the honor of having a G.I. Joe figure sculpted after his likeness by Hasbro. They named the character Scoop, whose given name was Leonard Michaels in honor of the real newsman. Scoop was also in the communications field, just like his inspiration. So that's kind of cool. Hasbro made a G.I. Joe figure of this guy. That's him right there. This is his book, Roadside Lessons of an American Family. And it is signed right there. Bonnie, so nice meeting you in Oklahoma. I hope you enjoy our campy ride along America and through life. I think that's what that says. Mike Leonard. Also comes with a DVD here. That's still included. That's pretty cool. Happy to have that. Okay, then we got two really cool books here. This is called Preposterous Papa by Lewis Meyer, a hilarious and affectionate portrait by his son. These are both pretty cool. Obviously, finding 2 books signed by this guy at the same time. Lewis Meyer wrote 8 books. He owned a bookstore in Tulsa, Oklahoma for 60 years. And he also had a television show on KDOT TV. This television show was called Lewis Meyer's Bookshelf. He did various book reviews, and it ran on the television for 42 years. It started in 1953. Lewis Meyer died in 1995. And this is one of the signed books here. It's inscribed Christmas 1959 for WK and Beretta, I think. A gift from Laura and Wade. I hope you like my book, Lewis Meyer. And also, me too, Papa. That's father, Max Meyer. So signed by both Lewis and Max Meyer. Here's one. And there's 2. Also, Christmas 1959. For Laura Johnson. A gift with love from your 3 males, Wade, Charlie, and Johnny. So both these books are tied together. So Laura got her own copy, and she got a gift for her friends. Because you see, for Laura and John from Wade, and this is a gift from Laura and Wade. Again, I hope you like my book, Lewis Meyer, and Me Too, Papa, Max Meyer. So that is awesome. Very, very cool to have these, especially from a guy who had a huge love of books. Both of these are first editions. He had such a love of books that he opened up a bookstore. Actually, this one's a second printing, so. But that's just awesome. It's really neat that he had his own TV show about books on television for 42 years. So really happy to get those 2 signed books. Okay, that's him right there at his bookstore. So that's cool. Alright, next up, this is Powerful People from Mao to Now, a reporter's 50-year pursuit by Roy Rowan. Give me a second to get my paperwork together here. Looks like he wrote 4 books in total. Let's see. In 1946, unable to secure a job as a foreign correspondent, Rowan joined the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration during the Chinese Civil War. There he also began photographing and writing freelance articles about the conflict, sending his pictures and articles back to major magazines in the United States in the hope of establishing himself as a journalist. Shortly before leaving Shanghai in December 1947, the Time Life Bureau chief approached him and informed him that Life magazine had printed several of his photographs and asked if Rowan could write an article on the war. The next month, Life hired him as their China and Southeast Asia correspondent. Rowan then covered all the major battles of China's civil war leading up to the fall of Shanghai in May 1949. Following the communist takeover, Rowan served as Life Bureau chief in Hong Kong, Rome, Tokyo, Bonn, and Chicago. During that last assignment, he traveled around the country for a month with Jimmy Hoffa, the notorious Teamster boss, for an exclusive 3-part series on the all-powerful but corrupt labor union. That's really cool. In 1961, Rowan was transferred to New York City and appointed Life's assistant managing editor in charge of the magazine's worldwide news coverage. When JFK was assassinated in 1963, he was having lunch with the company's editor-in-chief, Henry Leach, who ordered him to fly out to the printing plant in Chicago to stop the presses and remake the magazine using the now famous Zapruder film that pictured the actual shooting of the president. In 1969, Rowan began working with Time Incorporated on his proposal for a new waterfront magazine. He left Time when it fell through. He was joined by 9 other investors to found Seascape Publications in 1970. Rowan serving as both president of the newly formed company and editor of On the Sound magazine. In November 1972, Universal Publishing acquired On the Sound, and Rowan returned to Time as its bureau chief in Hong Kong. He left Time in 1977 and became a senior writer for Fortune magazine. And he retired in 1985. Let's see, his book, First Dogs, American Presidents and Their Best Friends, was made into a 1-hour documentary and aired on the Discovery Channel. And Rowan wrote the narration for actor Kelsey Grammer. So that's pretty cool. So, nope, he wrote 9 books in total. So anyway, signed right there, March 14th, 1996, for Fred Ford. Glad to have met you. All the best, Roy Rowan. 50-year journey as a correspondent, legendary journalist. That is very, very cool. Happy to have that to the collection. Okay, and we have They Dare to Speak Out by Paul Finley, a congressman from Illinois for 22 years. Very cool book. The book itself is not signed, but the book comes with this letter. He actually sent this book to the editorial director. So apparently he sent this to a radio station, not this one here, but he sent this a copy of his book to a radio station or TV broadcaster, not sure which, but it is signed and inscribed by him here. Dear Editorial Director, Mr. Livesay suggested I send you this gift book. Hope you find it worthwhile. Signed, Paul Finley, and he gives his address. Mr. Livesay that he references is the former president of Daytime Broadcasters Association. It says right here, I've just finished reading your very informative book, They Dare to Speak Out. Our nation was most fortunate to have your services in the U.S. House of Representatives for 22 years. Living in Mattoon, Illinois, I never had the pleasure of being one of your constituents directly, not being a resident of your district. However, as I was the president of the Daytime Broadcasters Association for some 26 years, I had the opportunity to work closely with you and your fine Washington staff, especially the late Robert Wisher, who was the director of your staff. I know many of the improvements in the FCC rules, which gave small local daytime stations additional hours to serve their local communities, were accomplished by the DBA because of the many hours you and your staff devoted to the efforts. I know that on several occasions you personally gave testimony in our behalf before House subcommittees. Your defeat after 22 years was a great loss to us all. Every radio and TV broadcaster involved in news and editorial responsibilities should personally read your book for a better understanding of the complexities facing the world in the Middle East. International diplomacy, especially our relations with the countries of the Middle East throughout the remainder of the 90s, will be the most important to the future of the USA. Do read They Dare to Speak Out and keep it as a ready reference as you fulfill your news and editorial responsibilities. So that's really cool. Like I said, the book itself is not signed, but he signed this letter and donated the book to either radio or TV station broadcaster or editorial director. Very, very cool.
Okay, then we Have Your Way with Bureaucrats by James H. Boren. Okay, I gotta find my cheat sheet here on James Boren. There we go. James Boren was an American who is best known as a humorist and writer on bureaucraties, in which he poked fun at what he called the vacuumental thinking and idiotoxicities of Washington. He was also a businessman, teacher, scholar, public servant, political operative, presidential candidate, and public speaker. Born in Weakland, Oklahoma, so he is a local Oklahoman, or was a local Oklahoman. Boren initially worked in the independent oil business in Texas and Oklahoma. In 1957, he was the campaign manager for Ralph Yarborough's successful bid to represent Texas in the United States Senate, and was Yarborough's chief of staff, 1957 to 1961. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy appointed Boren deputy director of the U.S. Economic Mission to Peru. There he conceived the idea of the Partners of the Alliance, now known as Partners of the Americas. He spent 7 years helping to build schools, equip hospitals, assist with potable water systems, and other economic development projects. In 1970, he became president of Developmental Services International in Washington, D.C. In 1992, he was an official, if not entirely serious, candidate for the President of the United States for the Apathy Party of America. His slogan was, "I have what it takes to take what you've got." In 1996, he was Oklahoma Democratic Party nominee for the U.S. Senate, but was unsuccessful. He died in Tahlequah, Oklahoma on April 24th, 2010, aged 84. Written numerous books, of which this is one, and this is awesome right here. Signed by him, Best Wishes, Jim Boren, and also he did a little drawing here of a bird holding up an IRS debt thing, I'm assuming. And it has a stamp here, International Association of Professional Bureaucrats. And when in doubt, mumble. That's very cool. So that is awesome. Very, very, very cool. Sign with a doodle. Very, very cool. Really happy to have that. Okay, next up, this book is really cool. This is A Mythic Obsession, The World of Dr. Evermore. You guys might have seen recently, and this postcard was also in this book, dated 1927. The printing press. That's kind of neat. You guys might have seen an episode of American Pickers where Frank and Mike ended up at Dr. Evermore's place. This guy creates and sculpts things out of ordinary materials, and he believes aliens have been on Earth, and he's just really eccentric and kind of whacked out. But he's made like a little playland and stuff. Just a really interesting guy. When I saw that they actually had there was a book written about him, I had to check it out. Wonderful account of a great metal artist and his fantastic whimsical creations. So very, very cool. Very, very eccentric guy. Lives in Wisconsin. Famous enigmatic scientist. So very cool. Alright, this video is getting really long, so I'm going to have to try and hurry up. I got two books here. Written by Lieutenant Cleb McClary, U.S. Marine Corps, 1st Recon Platoon, 1967 to 1968 in Vietnam. Mr. McClary lost an eye and an arm in the war, and this was his book that he's most famous for, Living Proof. Signed it right there with a Bible inscription. Some photographs there. So very nice to have this really cool piece of military history. Recounts his courageous story of rebuilding his devastated life. During his tour of duty in Vietnam, he suffered the loss of one eye, his left arm, and subsequently underwent 33 operations to retain usage of the remainder of his body. So thank you for your service, Mr. McClary. And this book here, Commitment to Love, is signed by him and his wife. So that's really cool. I'm happy to have both these books in the collection. Great photographs there. Then we got this book here, Around the World in 80 Years by Dr. Edwin W. Brown. He's a Harvard-educated physician whose career in international medicine has taken him throughout the world during 8 decades of life. And he also owns the world's most complete collection of C.S. Lewis books, first editions, manuscripts, and letters. And it is the Edwin W. Brown Collection at Taylor University. This is his book here, Around the World in 80 Years, With Nothing by Chance, The International Odyssey of an American Doctor, signed and inscribed to Ken and Karen. The warmest regards, Ed. He's been to more than 100 countries. So that's pretty neat. Then I picked this up just because I had to. It's not signed, but it's Jerry Springer's book, Ringmaster. I've seen the movie, which was great, but just kind of wanted to have the book. Nice shot there. So lots of great photographs in here. So look forward to reading that. As well as this book here. Had to pick this up. It's not signed, but this is The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash, My Life, My Beats, a memoir. Huge fan of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. That's just a piece of garbage. So can't wait to read this. Some great photographs in there. Grew up listening to them. So look forward to reading that. Let's see. Then we got this book here. This is the first in a series called Sharks on Wounded Fish. This is Chumwater by Hodge Wood. Signed and inscribed, David Chase, My Best, Hodge Wood, 71st Bomber. He was in the military. He ended up being paralyzed, but he fought back from it and ended up being a doctor. That's kind of a neat story right there. He won a special award it was a 2008 Military Writers Society of America award for this book. So that's cool. Then we got Chaz Allen, Their Place in the Sun. Signed right there, Chaz Allen. He is the head writer, producer, and voice of the nationally syndicated radio program Little Known Facts. So that's pretty cool. Then we got Oklahoma City Thunder Media Guide from 2008. Just because it's not signed or anything inside. But just wanted to have it. It's 50 cents. I'm damn sure going to grab it. Sorry, this is going to be a long video, guys. I appreciate you hanging out and watching now. This is a neat book, Scale Model Sailing Ships. I've always been a big fan of any kind of scale models. So when I saw this, I had to get it. Very cool book there. We'll do another signed book here. This is my first year as a country vet, Fields and Pastures New, by Dr. John McCormick. Signed and inscribed there to Allison and Joe, and my best wishes, sincerely, John McCormick, 9/21/1995. This is his life story as a vet in Choctaw County, Alabama. Published by Crown Publishers, which is a major publisher, so that's pretty cool. It's him right there. And I got, this book is awesome. This is Revenge of the Garage Kit That Ate My Wallet by Terry J. Webb. Published in 1994. This book is a complete photo reference to figure model kits. I used to do a lot of these back in the day. I did a Predator one. I had the Universal Monsters plastic model kits. I did an Alien plastic model kit. This book is awesome. Brings back some good memories. The resin kits and stuff. It's going to be a real fun book to look at. Maybe get me inspired to start doing model kits again. Very cool. Real happy to find that. And I got this book, Wacky Packages. This book is a photo reference to the Wacky Packages card series from Topps. I'm assuming every card is pictured here. I'm not for certain though, but had to pick this up. Love Wacky Packages. Real happy to get that. Alright. Next up, we'll do another signed book. This is Johnny D, Mr. Nosy and Me. Signed by the author. For Shelley Wilson, with love. Loretta Rogers Danstrom, I think is her name. Yep, Danstrom. It's a neat little children's book here, published in 1974. Got some great artwork in it. Just a little self-published kids book. I like the artwork on it, so I picked it up. Alright, now we'll get into some of the good stuff here. The rest of this is pretty darn sweet. I will start with The Syrian Yankee by Salome Risk. Okay. Salome Risk is a Syrian-American author, best known for this book here, 1943 immigrant autobiography. Perhaps the best-known piece of Arab-American literature in the middle part of the century. This book has been called a classic of the immigrant biography genre, especially for the way Risk's story portrays the American dream and the virtues of cultural assimilation at the expense of his home country, which he finds loathsome when he returns for a visit. He became well known enough that Reader's Digest sponsored him on a lecture tour around the United States as the quintessential American immigrant. He also sponsored a drive for the Save the Children Federation. And talks about that this book was a major contribution to American literature. And he died in 1973, and it is signed very nicely right there. I love how he does this little artistic line here. I believe this is a first edition. It does not say first edition, but it is copyright 1943, so I am assuming. I didn't do enough research to find out for sure, but I'm assuming it is a first edition. So that's very cool. It does have the price here on the
dust jacket inside. So really, really happy to find that. That's him right there. So, classic piece of American literature right here. Very, very cool. This one is awesome as well. This is Coming Out of the Ice, An Unexpected Life by Victor Herman. This is published by Harcourt, Brace and Jovanovich. Okay, this astonishing true story is the tale of a young American man who was sent to the Soviet Union with his parents by the Ford Motor Company to set up an auto plant. He was eventually thrown into Soviet prisons and could not return to America until 45 years later. It was in 1938 when Victor Herman was inexplicably thrown into prison after he had become a celebrity in the Soviet Union, having won acclaim as the Lindbergh of Russia for his flying and world record-breaking parachute jumps. But what happened to him was a common nightmare during the Stalin years. Those who survived imprisonment and torture were sent north to hard labor in the icy forests and mines, or into exile. Victor was one of the few who survived. What kept him alive for 18 years was the overwhelming, unshakable belief in his own invincibility and the desire to return to America and tell his story. After Stalin's death, he was pardoned and allowed to live quietly until he began petitioning to go back to America. Years of persistence, despite endless frustrations, paid off when, in 1976, Victor Herman was finally allowed to come home. That's him right there. His life story not only was told here in a book, but it was done in the 1982 CBS TV film, starring Ben Cross, John Savage, and Willie Nelson. Victor Herman died in 1985, and it is signed right there, as you can see. So that is awesome. This is one of the guys too. I'm very curious as to why there is not a Wikipedia article on him, considering the importance and the impact of his life. So, kind of curious, but awesome book to have. Then we've got a nice book here. This is The Sharing Knife, Legacy by Lois McMasters Bujold. An American author of science fiction and fantasy works, Bujold is one of the most acclaimed writers in her field, having won the prestigious Hugo Award for Best Novel 4 times, matching Robert A. Heinlein's record. So, very, very famous science fiction fantasy author. Nicely signed right there. So, very happy to find this one. There's that. Then we got The Real Anita Hill, The Untold Story by David Brock. It is signed by David Brock right there. To John Layton, with every best wish, David Brock. And very famous author. He is the one guy I didn't research enough. Okay, David Brock is an investigative journalist at the American Spectator, where he has published a series of articles on congressional and U.S. foreign policy issues. His articles and reviews have appeared in the Wall Street Journal and the Washington City Paper, among other publications. Author of several books, and he was also the senior news editor of the Washington Times. So very cool to have that. Nicely signed right there, David Brock. And then we have Turning the Thing Around, Pulling America's Team Out of the Dumps and Myself Out of the Doghouse by Jimmy Johnson. And it is nicely and boldly signed by Jimmy Johnson right over there.
Kevin, what a trip, always the best. Jimmy Johnson, famous coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who won many championships under him. So that is awesome. And then we have an upside down book. This is On the Brink, The Life and Leadership of Norman Brinker. Signed right there. Inscribed to Paula. A pleasure to be with you, Norman Brinker. This was the first book I found signed at the book sale. He was an American restaurateur who was responsible for the creation of new business concepts within the restaurant field, such as the salad bar. Helped create Jack in the Box, which I know you guys have heard of. He helped create Steak and Ale, which I know you guys have heard of. He died in 2009. The Wikipedia article here is very extensive. He's done a lot in the restaurant business. If you look him up on Wikipedia, you can read about it. But very famous restaurateur. As I said, died in 2009. Awesome to have a book signed by him. All right, now, the last two books, these are absolutely epic. I'll do the signed one first. The unsigned one could possibly be more epic. But anyway, this is Timber on the Moon, the Curtis Turner story. Now, for those of you that don't know, Curtis Turner was an early NASCAR driver. In addition to his success in racing, he made a fortune, lost it, and remade it, buying and selling timberlands. Throughout his life, he developed a reputation for drinking and partying. Okay, so this guy is absolutely amazing as far as his NASCAR accomplishments. He is the only NASCAR driver to win 2 Grand National races in a row from the pole by leading every lap. The only driver to win 25 major NASCAR races in one season, driving the same car in each of them. The only driver to win a major NASCAR race that was red flagged because his car was the only one still running. That's crazy. Curtis Turner conceptualized, secured financing for, and built Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1960 before being forced out by his business partners. The first driver to climb Pikes Peak in less than 15 minutes. The first winner of the American 500 at Rockingham, North Carolina in a 1965 Woods Brother Ford. The first driver to qualify for a NASCAR Grand National race at a speed greater than 180 miles per hour. Turner's 1967 Daytona 500 car, designed by Smokey Yunick, was the inspiration for the car driven by the Talladega Nights character Reese Bobby. The car was banned by NASCAR, thus starting Smokey's tenuous relationship with NASCAR. Curtis Turner had an issue with the labor union, so they kicked him out of NASCAR. He was banned for life in 1961, but they were hurting for money, and they needed to breathe new life into NASCAR, so they reinstated him back in 1965. He was 41 at the time. He died in an airplane crash. He was piloting the airplane. The crash also killed golfer Clarence King. Alright, so this is his book. 2 copies on eBay right now, just the book alone, are going for over $100. My copy is signed, right there, Curtis Turner. He died in 1970 due to the plane crash. Great book, a lot of photographs in here. Just an amazing find. One of the greats of early NASCAR. Still holding all those records that I read about. There he is right there. Kicked out of NASCAR, reinstated. Just an amazing story. Really epic find here to find a signed book by him. So, happy as hell to find that. And last but not least, I have a copy of Hunter S. Thompson's Hell's Angels, The Strange and Terrible Saga of the Outlaw Motorcycle Gangs. This book is pretty rare. This is the 3rd printing. They did, I believe, 7 printings of the book. Yep, Random House did 7 printings of Hell's Angels. According to my article here, the 1st and 2nd printings, they did 5,000 copies of each. It does not say how many they did of the 3rd printing. So this is the 3rd printing, but in great condition. This is an original, actual 3rd printing. I did speak with the owner of Atlanta Vintage Books out of Atlanta, Georgia. They have a 3rd printing, actually, up for sale right now for $200. The 1st and 2nd printings are going anywhere from between $700 and $1,000. There are a couple of copies of the 3rd printing on eBay right now, one for $75 without a dust jacket, one for $140 with the dust jacket. So my guess is this book is worth between $150 to $200. I believe the Curtis Turner book, as I said, there's 2 copies on eBay right now. One's over $100, and one's I think $300 or $400, and that's unsigned. So this book is probably $200 or $300, I'd say, possibly more because it's signed. I have to look into it a little bit further. But this book, as I said, there's a rare bookstore in Atlanta called Atlanta Vintage Books. I called him on the phone today, talked with him. They have a copy for $200 on sale. So, just an awesome find. Hunter S. Thompson is a legend. Published Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which was made into a movie. He ended up killing himself. Just real happy to find this for $1. This was 50 cents. I mean, and this could possibly be worth $200 or $300, maybe more. And this one, as I said, there's a rare bookstore selling their copy for $200. So just an amazing day at the book sale. Got a bunch of great stuff. Alright guys, I'm going to sign off. 50-minute video, my longest video ever. Appreciate those who stayed tuned and watched the whole thing. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed my day at the book sale. Got some great stuff. And we'll talk to you later. See you.